Welcome to this explainer briefing. Listen, today we're not looking at Ryan Holiday's Discipline is Destiny as just another self-help book. We're treating it as an elite operating system upgrade. If you're a founder, an executive, or a system architect trying to navigate modern India's incredibly hyper-competitive startup and agency ecosystem, this is for you. We're going to decode the Stoic frameworks of physical endurance, cognitive focus, and emotional resilience, and directly apply them to high-growth, high-stakes corporate structures. So get ready to completely upgrade your baseline hardware. Okay, we've got a lot of ground to cover in this operational blueprint. We'll be progressing from identifying your base cognitive vulnerabilities all the way down to deploying some hardcore Indian venture protocols. Let's get right into it. Starting with Section 1, the cognitive reality check. We have to audit our current system vulnerabilities before we try building anything on top of them. Because, look, we all wake up wanting to be the absolute #1 player in our space, right? We want that massive market share, that Series A funding, the prestige. But by evening, what actually happens? Our system just completely crashes. We cave to junk food cravings, we burn 2 hours doom-scrolling reels just because our brain is bored, or we completely lose our temper over a tiny Slack message from a client. You have to realize that a reactive mindset is a foundational vulnerability in any high-growth venture. If you literally cannot control your own body, your mind, and your emotions, there is absolutely no way you're going to control a scaling business in a highly volatile market. And that brings us right to the core of Holiday's analysis, temperance. In Stoic philosophy, this is one of the 4 cardinal virtues. And we really need to drop this misconception that discipline is some sort of restriction or a punishment. It's not. It is actually your ultimate competitive weapon. It's the absolute self-control that everyone from Queen Elizabeth II to Steve Jobs used to carve out their legacies. In an ecosystem full of constantly distracted, totally reactive competitors, discipline is exactly what turns you into an unstoppable legend. Moving into our first triad pillar, phase 1 of our core architecture, we're talking about dominating the physical framework, the baseline hardware of the human body. The absolute most basic level of discipline is dominating the flesh. Human bodies naturally want comfort, right? Warm beds, heavy food, zero friction. But if you're constantly bowing to physical comfort, you just become a slave to your own flesh. And guess what? Your mind will never follow your commands if your body doesn't. Take the Gehrig mindset. This baseball legend played 2,130 consecutive games through bone fractures, fevers, and severe pain. His body was literally screaming stop, but his absolute self-control commanded him to get right back on the field. That is the physical baseline of a true high-performance operator. So where does that kind of physical domination actually start? It starts right at 4:45 a.m., Former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink's deployment time is a stark reminder that the morning alarm is literally your very first battle of the day. When that alarm goes off, a war starts between your body and your mind. Hitting the snooze button, that is your first surrender. Conquering the morning in those super quiet digital-free hours sets the entire baseline for your day. If you can command your morning, you can absolutely command your venture. Now, to actually maintain that physical control without burning out, we deploy the BJ Fogg friction principle. You cannot rely on raw willpower alone. It's gonna fail you. You have to architect your environment so that executing a good habit is entirely frictionless. If your workspace is a mess and there's junk food sitting right there, you're creating high friction for your good habits, and that leads straight to a willpower crash. But a pristine desk, with your gym equipment prepped the night before, that creates frictionless discipline. You're quite literally engineering your environment for instant action and success. All right, once the baseline hardware of the body is locked down, we move right into phase 2, architecting distraction-free focus. It's time to secure the software. In today's hyper-digital era, especially if you're operating in India's tech hubs, your attention is your single most expensive asset. Media platforms, algorithms, they're specifically engineered to steal it from you. So you need a Stoic shield built on a principle heavily championed by Steve Jobs. Focus isn't just about staring really hard at your screen. It is fundamentally the discipline of refusal. It's about having the guts to say no to 100 other seemingly good ideas so you can flawlessly execute the one great idea. Think about it. Saying yes to every single client request, every shiny new tech trend, every pointless internal meeting, that just leads to scattered energy and absolutely zero growth. Elite operators practice this discipline of refusal daily. Saying no to non-essentials isn't about being difficult. It's about aggressively protecting your core venture vision. every single no to a time-wasting distraction is a massive yes to laser-sharp focus and exponential output for your startup. And remember, focus isn't just about starting things, it's about finishing them. Look, amateurs in the startup world love starting new projects. They get totally high on that initial rush of excitement. But the second they hit the boring execution phase, they abandon it for the next shiny object. The finisher's mindset is completely different. Real discipline is staying right there in the trenches, pushing through that incredibly monotonous final 20% of the work, and dragging the project across the finish line until it is 100% complete. Let's level up to our third phase, the absolute highest and most advanced level of discipline: engineering emotional resilience. This is the firewall for your spirit. This phase becomes absolutely critical when your venture actually starts succeeding. I've seen so many founders survive a brutal funding winter only to completely lose their minds when they finally get that massive Series A check. Success breeds ego, plain and simple. Enter the Marcus Aurelius protocol. This man possessed absolute, unchecked power over the entire Roman Empire, yet he woke up every single day to journal about maintaining his humility, working like a commoner, and making sure his power didn't breed arrogance. True discipline is keeping your daily grind and your humility completely intact, even when you reach the absolute pinnacle of your industry. A huge part of this emotional resilience comes down to practicing moderation, what the Stoics called the middle path. In the fast-paced Indian agency ecosystem, there's this incredibly toxic glorification of hyper-burnout, but the Stoic framework dictates balance. Yes, you bring 100% intensity to your deep work, absolutely, but you do it with zero compromise on your sleep, your physical recovery, and your core values. Pushing into excess in any direction is just fundamentally toxic to your long-term scaling. And this balance translates directly into the golden rule of elite leadership, which is basically mandatory if you're managing high-performance teams. Most bad managers get this completely backwards. They're soft on themselves, making excuses for their own delays, but ridiculously strict and harsh with their team. That instantly creates a toxic culture and guarantees failure. A true Stoic leader demands absolute perfection and strict accountability from themselves, while remaining highly patient and empathetic with the battles their team is fighting. Okay, Section 5, the Temperance Matrix. It's time to do a hard audit of exactly where your operational systems currently stand. This is where the rubber meets the road. Take a hard look at these daily vectors: routine, environment, focus, execution, and leadership. You have to ask yourself, are you operating as the impulsive slave, sleeping in, constantly reacting to 24/7 notifications, abandoning boring projects, and acting like a toxic boss? Or are you the disciplined legend, dominating your body, rejecting non-essentials, finishing what you start, and leading your team with empathy? Seriously, ask yourself right now, with total honesty, which column is currently dictating your daily operations? Finally, let's take all of this high-level Stoic philosophy and ground it directly into the real world. Let's look at actionable, hardcore operational protocols designed specifically for modern Indian startups and agencies. Because you can't just hope for discipline, you have to systemize it. Step 1. Protect your team's cognitive load by scheduling a strict, non-negotiable 2-hour distraction-free deep work slot every single morning. Let's say 9:30 a.m. No Slack, no quick calls. Step 2. Automate your complex back-end compliance. For example, hard-code your 5% GST rules straight into your invoicing pipelines. Why? Because eliminating manual calculation friction saves massive cerebral space for your managers. And Step 3. Enforce a strict finish line audit. No one gets to pitch a shiny new project until the current one is 100% polished and shipped. You literally force execution. At the end of the day, success is not a lottery ticket. It is quite simply the compound output of your daily self-control decisions. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you carving your destiny through absolute architectural discipline, mastering your body, your mind, and your spirit? Or are you just leaving your venture to the whims of reactive impulses? Sharpen your discipline today, systemize your operations, and take absolute command of your destiny.